we've been off many days now.
An embarrassingly long amount of time.
It was a lot of vacation, and about day, I say 8 of it. This is my son. Of course, my son's been home from college for even longer. You know how college break is.
Yeah, those college breaks are great in the winter.
It's almost a month.
Yeah, he got home on like December 11th, and he's going back the 7th of January, something like that. I mean, it's just on and on and on. Anyhow,
is he having the time of his life?
How's he spending his time?
Seems to be enjoying it. He's seeing a lot of friends that he had in high school, and he's going to different places. And
do you notice changes?
I think he's a little more mature, and definitely everybody that sees him says he's really filled out more. He's put on weight in a good way, I guess, is what everybody says.
So you're not shaming him?
I tried when he walked in.
I remember.
When he first got here, I said, "Oh yeah, you need to get back in the gym with me. You're pudgy. Let's go." But a lot of people,
everybody else was like, "You look great."
Yeah, they did. Well, two things.
My therapist says I don't need to talk about that anymore. What?
Here's two things. Two things that are fun.
He says you're the problem.
Now,
what?
Yeah, he says I hate my father.
Yeah, you set up unrealistic goals and ideals.
I think you'll get this. One day, we were at the gym together. And as we were leaving, this woman who I know well from the gym, her hood was up on her car, and she was looking, the car wouldn't start. And she goes, "Do either of you guys?"
She could have picked horse.
Thank God. Men.
I haven't even finished the story yet.
Barely know how to walk to the car.
Said, "Can you guys help with this?" And we both were like, "I don't think
we can stare at it."
Yeah, and we did. We stared at it for a while.
Yep, there it is. That's the engine.
So, I'll be glad to give you a ride if you want. Or
I have a phone.
I have a phone.
Call.
She goes, "No, I'll be able to get it started, but it's just been giving me a little trouble here lately. I'm going to take it to a guy this afternoon." And I said, "Okay." And, we said goodbye. That was it. Well, the next day, my son went to the gym, and I guess I had an off day. So he saw her again, but I didn't.
I didn't think you took off days.
Maybe I was going late or something. I think I was going to like a late class.
That's more like it.
Anyhow, he comes home and he said, she got her car fixed. And I said, "Oh, well, that's good." And he said, "She wanted me to tell you it was the flux capacitor."
That's good.
So I started laughing. He goes, "What? Yeah, no.
Oh, no.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, no,
so
no.
I was like, "Oh, hey."
Where's the joke?
Everybody's been wound up.
Yeah. He said, "She said you'd know what that meant, that it was a flux capacitor." I said, "Oh, I do know what it means." It was she's really funny. And that was very funny. No, about 7 or 8 days into this vacation, my son looks at me and he goes, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Don't you work?" And I was like, "Well, I'm on vacation." He goes, "You are?" And it's like, how do you not know this?
This is every year.
He doesn't know. It was like 2 days after Christmas. He's like, What are you doing here? Why? It was very, very weird.
Unaware of his own surroundings.
Almost always. One day he said, we were getting ready to watch a football game, that Dallas-Detroit game. And he said, the past 8 Monday night football games have been won by the underdog. And I said, "Yeah, but today is not Monday." He goes, "It's not?" I said, "No." And he goes, "What is it?"
Well, the graphics are
I
thrown up.
know. And he goes,
"It's at a Monday night special."
on Saturday. He goes, "What is it, Thursday?" And I was like, "No."
Try again.
You're gonna have to tell him to go back to school.
He's got a phone.
He's
He
not
keeps
gonna
with him.
know.
doesn't
He does, but he's so unaware. I mean,
Could look at it.
The days, I guess.
There is a story that went around. I think it might have happened. I think it was right before Christmas. A 16-year-old kid was, and I meant, Kelly, I thought about your son, and maybe you've seen this story. He was a 16-year-old kid. He was flying from Tampa, and I guess he was flying to meet family in Ohio. And he got to the correct gate in the Tampa airport, but ended up in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Had to spend the night in Puerto Rico, and then they flew him back to Cleveland the next day.
Right.
And I thought to myself, now he's 16, so he's high school sophomore, perhaps junior.
Right, yeah.
And I thought to myself, Kelly, your son is 18, 1 semester under his belt in college. Could he negotiate an airport by himself and get on the right airplane?
No.
Get to the gate on time.
No.
Pick up a bag.
No.
Rent a car, get a taxi, get an Uber.
No. You're going way on too far there. No, he can't do that. He could probably Uber himself to the airport. Although he's never done an Uber on his own.
Does he have the account?
I don't think he even has that. No, but he could not do all of that. Find the guy. We'd have to navigate him through that. We would. He's
an unaccompanied minor. He's 18. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's
almost 19.
No.
This speaks to that generation.
Oh yeah. Oh, no question about
that parents do everything for them.
It's blindingly apparent.
You should do that for spring break. You should buy him a nice trip and let him navigate himself.
No.
He never come home.
Not doing that. No. He couldn't get home.
He'll end up on a freighter in the Philippines.
Boy, it'd be fun to watch, though, wouldn't it?
Well, it would. Put a little air, put an air tag on him, and just see
Put an
where he
air tag
winds
on
up.
him, like a cocker spaniel.
Dad, what's Bora Bora?
I'm here.
Yeah, we're not sure.
Or what are you escaping? What?
I got no place left to go.
Yeah.
Blink if you're being trafficked.
Yeah.
What? Wait, what?
I'm in Gaza.
What?
That's right.
He has no idea.
He's a Houthi rebel.
That's right. He would wind up doing that. This is also about that generation. I hate this. A couple of teenagers have been arrested because this is awful. Hollandale Beach, Florida. Apparently, no, I'm sorry. This is Massachusetts. This story is from Massachusetts. There were some carolers in Dorchester, Massachusetts, right before Christmas. Went to an elderly woman's house. They themselves, the carolers, were in their 70s. And as they were caroling to this woman who was at the window, really enjoying it, teenagers came over and punched them.
Punching a Christmas caroler.
Punched a Christmas carol. It's about as low as it gets.
Yeah.
Women in their 70s, they turned out to be 15 and 16 years old because they were playing a TikTok game called Knockout. You have to you have to knock somebody
We've
out.
talked about that game before, and people have. It seems to kind of go and come.
Yeah.
It's and people have been arrested and charged for. It's just you just punch someone random on the street.
Yeah, it's absolutely awful. These are a few of the neighbors who witnessed it and called 911.
I was really surprised that they did that. Yeah, that was horrible.
It's crazy. I mean, like, that's wild. If that's your idea of fun, then I don't know. But like I said, if that was my grandmother, you ain't playing like that.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yeah.
Just, to go inside, because a lot of times we will kind of dissect the local news. It sounds to me as if the question to the first woman in the clip we heard there was, were you surprised?
Let's see
that
her.
teenagers came out of the blue and beat up old ladies.
Let's see it.
I was really surprised that they did that.
Yes, I think that I did.
Were you surprised?
I was.
Was the singing that bad?
Yeah.
Journalism school today. Did it hurt?
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Another two guys named Chris Comedy All-Star, Michael Reed, who once said that he was watching coverage right after September 11th, and Paul Azan asked someone who had gotten out of one of the Twin Towers, were you surprised that planes came out of the air
into the building.
and flew into the building
While you were at work.
And he said, yeah, that took me.
Yes.
Yeah, I was. I
was, actually.
That's when networks started hiring managing editors.
Well, I would think.
They'll come up with a question.
Were you surprised? And what did Michael Reed say? No, I pretty much expected a 747 to land on my fax machine that day. Of course, obviously.
They caught these kids, you said?
Yeah, they caught them. They arrested. I mean, easily. I mean, it was for no reason other than they were playing this TikTok game called Knockout.
All you have to do is know the hashtag, go find it.
Well, yeah. And
That's risky.
We have talked about it.
Have we talked about that game? There's another one where you just have to walk into the door of somebody, right?
Yeah.
Like just go into somebody's living room.
Yeah, and sit down and watch TV.
And that's all ended.
You get shot.
Yeah.
You
In
get
the
shot.
U.S., because they were doing it mostly in the UK,
Europe,
right?
But here,
You'll get shot.
yeah, you try to do that in Florida or Texas, you're not going to do that, of course.
Just the idea that there's carolers out there. I don't think I've ever been subjected to caroling
I think it's wonderful.
in my life.
I think I've seen it when we were living on an Army base.
Mm-hmm.
We would do it.
Really?
Because I think a lot of the dads were gone.
Yeah.
We did it once on Christmas Eve when I was growing up. I was about 14, and we always got together on Christmas Eve with my father's side of the family. And one of his sisters said, we're going across the street to my neighbor's house to carol. Whoever wants to come coming up. You know, as a Glee Club member. I was front and center on that one. And
I brought my pitch pipe.
I'm ready.
Good King Wenceslas died.
That's right. And
I don't know the rest of the
I
words.
just said, let's do it. Let's get out there. And
They
we
have
carol.
hymn books, or they just kind of do it off the top of your head?
We did it top of our head, joy to the world and such. And
You just went to one house?
yes, because it was an old sick neighbor and
Okay.
Shut in?
a shut in, and we stood on her porch and brought her wassail. And
You went wassailing.
Yeah, we went wassailing. That's right. You know, I was invited to a party over Christmas. My friend Dustin, who you call Fonzie, was in town.
Are you in town? Oh, good.
He was in town, so a couple
How
days.
is he?
Great. Couple
Give
of
him
days.
my regards.
Of course. 2 days after Christmas, his father had everybody, like all the high school guys, were back over again.
Got the gang back together?
Whole gang back together again. You know, all of us in there, just reliving the glory.
Crowded into the basement?
Yeah, all that, yeah. Showing videos of the old track meets and so forth on there. God, I looked horrible.
Where were you?
Well, see, that was the thing. My friends ran track in high school, track and cross country. And I was good friends with them. And, of course, I didn't run those races. But when the races were over, I would lope into the frame of the picture and give them high fives. And I looked terrible. I looked at myself and I was like, my God, that's the most slovenly, awful-looking person. It's no wonder no girl wanted to be around me in high school. It was terrible. And they kept showing this over and over and over again. And I just said, you've got to...
Please stop.
Please. Stop showing these videos. The guy, his father, owned a video store.
Right.
Remember that?
Right,
so he
right.
videotaped everything. He had the camcorder and he videotaped everything. And now he's put them on, whatever device. Now you can see. It was somehow streaming. It would just go from one race to the other. Anyhow, my friend Dustin, his son was there who's probably 16. His kids are almost my kid's age. And he's 2 sons, like 18 and 16. And... the 16-year-old, we were talking about TikTok, and he goes, well, my son hasn't washed his hair with soap in 3 years because he saw on TikTok that shampoo's bad for you. And we dissected that for a while. I said, you're telling me, and he's like, yeah, no, I mean, he does wash his hair, but water only.
Water only?
Because somebody on TikTok Doc, said, oh, shampoo's terrible for your hair. You know how you hear
I see that every 3 months.
Do you? Is that a thing?
You're washing your hair wrong.
Right. You shouldn't take hot showers. You shouldn't wash your hair this way. And so he literally, now I would not have known it. His hair looked good. But he said, yeah, his mother and I have just given up. We kept trying, we put shampoo up there for him and all that. It's like, what are you going to do? Now, could that be, can you live your whole life just running water over your hair and no shampoo? I guess.
You can.
Yes. I guess.
You're going to get dreads.
Yeah, you might get dreads.
You think it's good? Yeah.
Well, I
you
don't
get dreads.
know.
You don't wash your hair.
But I thought you had to keep that dry.
But if he cuts his hair, it's not going to get dreads.
That's true.
And it was, his hair was, not
shaggy.
Not, it was a little bit, kind of like every 16-year-old boy looks, but not long.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, this TikTok thing, I started in on it. I was like, yeah, can you believe this? And they were all like, yeah, you're so old. They said that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. But geez, Louise, that's just something.
Easy.
I'm
Easy.
sorry.
The language.
That's just something we just cannot have. Here's the other crime news now. And this is the Hollandale Beach, Florida. An ex-HOA president has been arrested. And we should ask Lisa Lanier about this. Is this illegal? He drew a gun on a woman.
What? That's illegal.
He literally drew a gun on a piece of paper and laid it on her doorstep as a threat.
He drew a gun. Okay.
He literally
drew a gun.
He took a Sharpie and drew a gun on a piece of typing paper.
Did he trace it or just do it freehand?
Did it freehand. Pretty
pretty
good
good.
drawing though. Took up the whole.
That's good.
Took up the whole piece of paper, and then
A pistol or
pistol.
okay.
But he and the woman had a lot of altercations before, and a lot of the residents had complained about him. He used to be the building manager and was no longer that because so many people complained about him. But he still lives in the building in Florida. And so when he drew the gun, they've now said he can't come within 15 feet of her apartment, and you can't be around her and such. But the reporter got up in his face and said, did you draw this gun and so forth? And he knocked the reporter's phone out of his hand.
Did you draw that gun and put it on her?
No.
You didn't do it?
No.
There's 2 sides to every story. Tell us.
Listen, you take the camera down.
Let me tell you something. You don't touch my phone.
Let me tell you something.
Listen,
You don't.
We're telling each other things now.
You don't touch this.
there's 2 sides to every story.
I like this reporter's
I
moxie.
did too. He's right in his face too, with his phone. Well, meanwhile, they talked to the woman, of course, who had the gun picture
Laid
gun
on her mat.
laid on her mat, and she said it had been horrible. She had received death threats, and he constantly makes fun of. She has a speech impediment, and he said she said he constantly makes fun of my speech impediment.
Death threat. A death threat for me? Who does that? What sick person would do something like that?
hard to hear her speak. I think she's had some surgery or something on her vocal cords. They didn't say. They just said she has a weird speaking voice. And so she said that he's given her death threats and all those types of things. And apparently another woman who lives in the complex said, yeah, he's yelled at me before, too.
He starts to yell through the door. He's like, fuck you, shut up.
She was very
neighborhood hothead.
Very graphic. Yeah. So anyway, he's been arrested, but he's out and living back at the complex. He just can't come within 15 feet of this woman's door. Do
we know if he owns a weapon?
That's the thing.
That's a good question. I do not know if he owns a weapon. I know he can trace.
He's a very good artist.
He's very good at that.
Artist. But the woman says she's still in fear.
I'm sick to my stomach.
I've heard that before. And so anyway, it continues to be an.
When he got
issue,
arrested,
obviously.
could they ask him that? Could they ask you if you own a gun?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's good.
Because I mean, if you're threatening people like that, and you're drawing guns and so forth,
I don't know if that opens up the door to ask though.
Yeah, Florida. So maybe
yeah, you're right
how
about
the laws
that.
are there. There's I thought this was really interesting. Lewis Black was on The Daily Show, and his final ever appearance on The Daily Show came at the end of 2023. And it was a look back at 2023. And Lewis Black had such an interesting take on this to me. And we just heard a couple of bad stories there. But he says, when you look back at 2023, you're going to be really grateful for the things that happened because it was a really great year.
You people have no idea how good we had it this year. For starters, this was the first year since the pandemic that things felt almost normal. Remember the height of COVID? We couldn't do shit. You could die just from going to a party, and not in the fun way from tainted cocaine. But this year, everything was back. Schools, concerts, sports, theater. Live theater is so back. Lauren Boebert was caught jacking off a guy during Beetlejuice the musical. And you thought it was distracting when people unwrapped hard candy. If you're going to behave that way during a musical, at least do it during Les Mis. Talk about a play that needs a happy ending. And think about all the scientific advancements this year. God, I love Ozempic. Or, as your favorite celebrity calls it, oh, I've just been drinking a lot of water. Seriously, this drug is a godsend for anyone who likes losing weight and stealing medicine from diabetics. Ha, ha, ha! Just try and catch me, you one-footed bastard! And let's not forget that 2023 also saw a major milestone in pop culture. At long last, people have finally stopped watching Marvel movies. And thank God. My favorite part of any Marvel movie is the 4 times I leave to pee. Listen, if I'm spending that long in the theater, I better be sitting next to Lauren Boebert. But the best pop culture trend in 2023? Kanye West. This was the first year in ages that he finally shut the up. No tweets, no rants, no threats. I'm just glad he finally left the anti-Semitism to literally everybody else. As if this wasn't all enough to be grateful for, this year was also the beginning of the end for one of humanity's worst inventions. Yes, Elon Musk did us all a favor and killed Twitter. For he's a jolly good weirdo, for he's a jolly good weirdo, for he's a jolly good weirdo. Can't wait till he dies on Mars.
That's Lewis Black's sign-off on The Daily Show.
Good sign-off.
Oh, my God. And he's right.
He's not wrong at all.
I feel like
about any of it.
I feel like we had it good last year. Yeah.